Hello, hello, hello out there, and welcome to opening night of the Major League Baseball season. We are presenting our first ever opening night live stream right here on 3 Up, 3 Down. I know I'm a little late getting started. Hopefully, some of you will join us out here in a few minutes. We have had some technical difficulties. Apparently, the Giants and Yankee game, the opening game tonight, was not on Netflix in Canada. It's on Sportsnet, so I'm working on getting that game set up. I do have access to Sportsnet, but trying to get access on my television. But as you guys can see, we will have game day following along with us in game day as we talk all kinds of baseball right here on 3 Up, 3 Down for opening night. If you are indeed out there, Sally, come in, say hello. Let's chat baseball and all kinds of fun stuff out there. I'm going to take a look at my phone stuff as I see what's out there. Come in, chat. Let's live chat it up here on 3 Up, 3 Down, talking Major League Baseball any night, all night tonight. Hopefully, game's getting started here soon enough. It looks like they are going through player introductions and everything. We're expected to be first pitch here in a little bit. I'm not sure how much longer the first pitch. Between the Yankees and Giants, of course, we'd have Max Fried on the bump for the Yankees, and Logan Webb is going to be the starter for the San Francisco Giants to kick off the season. Let me see what else they've got going on here. Looks like we've got the anthems. We'll likely have another commercial break, and then we'll be into the opening game of the Major League Baseball season here in 2026. So I'm going to give it a few minutes here, get some people on. Let's chat some baseball, and let's have all kinds of fun tonight. If there's anybody out there, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live streaming opening night watch party here on 3 Up, 3 Down on YouTube. We're going to feedback a little bit. I apologize there on the phone. We're going to get this game going here very quickly, and let's have all kinds of fun here. 3 Up, 3 Down. Talk all kinds of baseball, all types of topics all night. So jump in here, jump in the chat, and let's talk some baseball. Opening night of the Major League Baseball season right here on 3 at 3 now. We are hanging out, talking all kinds of baseball. Yankees, Giants to kick off the season. If you haven't gone and seen my playoff predictions video, check those out as well. Two teams that I do have making the playoffs this season. I've got a video going on my phone right now for the game, so I'm watching it live as well as Lauren Shahadi introduces us to the setup of the first game of the 2026 Major League season. I think we better enjoy opening day here in 2026 because maybe, just maybe, there's a possibility that 2027 does not happen here. So we'll see what's going on that way through that. There should be lots of talks, the CBA talks through the year. Hopefully we can get it settled so opening day 2027 happens at this same time next year. But you just never know. I guess the first thing we should really talk about, the game is on Netflix in the U.S. Here across the world, actually, I believe. Here in Canada, turns out that the game is not on Netflix. It is the Netflix stream, but it's done through Rogers Sportsnet because Sportsnet has the apparent monopoly over Major League Baseball streams in Canada, and that's just a little bit sad. Major League Baseball taking an extra buck or two out of the way, so you have to have your Sportsnet Plus all signed up so you can watch this game. Of course, you could have also tried it through MLB.TV as well. Not my favorite piece of work, but I guess that's going to be is what it is. It's the way the baseball streaming service is at this time. Not my favorite part of the game, but it is what it is. So we'll kick it off. The Yankees and Giants. Another thing everybody's talking about, of course, normally we expect daytime baseball and opening day with just about everybody playing, or the vast majority of teams at least playing. This year we get a Wednesday night game between Yankees and Giants interleague. I don't know if I like that either. The tradition, of course, is the day game of the Cincinnati Reds, home game opening the season, that supposed first Major League Baseball team of all time. Setting up the season. This year we get Yankees Giants. I don't love that on a Wednesday night. I do enjoy the afternoon baseball. I do enjoy the customary opening day with everybody, or at least the vast majority of teams. We're opening on Wednesday. My team, for you guys who don't know, my team, the Toronto Blue Jays, does not open until Friday, and it's also an evening game. It'll be 5 o'clock local time for me, 7 o'clock on the East Coast. We get Blue Jays Athletics. Again, feels a little mismanaged. I don't have a problem with Yankees Dodgers so much. I don't love the interleague. I mean, if you wanted to get viewership, I think the idea could have been maybe Yankees Red Sox or potentially Dodgers Giants or something of that nature to kick off the season. I think Dodgers Giants would make the most sense because you've got the defending champs and two-time champs, the LA Dodgers, stepping up that way. But alas, here we are. But does it matter? Because we're talking baseball, and that's the most important part. It is baseball season, so we can watch actual Major League Baseball. And the baseball is in a really good place at the moment. I know we can talk about CBA coming up and all those things, but baseball is in a really good place. The WBC, the World Baseball Classic, fantastic spectacle. I don't know how many guys out there would have watched it, but a really, really great tournament. Props to Venezuela for getting the big win. The crowds look super excited, especially in Miami and Houston. Everywhere. They look really, really good. A very good spectacle for baseball. Really projects the international flair of the game and just a lot of fun out there. You saw a lot of great instances of just excitement around the world for the game. The fact that the U.S. team did not win is, I think, always a good thing for the tournament. They were good. It was good for crowds, good for attendance, good for TV ratings. But you got Venezuela, the Dominican, Japan, all as well in the semifinal, with Venezuela, very good part of the game as well. Still waiting for the game to kick off. It's time for the first pitch. Like, really, let's get in here, and it's time for the first pitch. We're still talking. Umpires are still talking. Tony Vitello is out there. I can see right now the new manager of the San Francisco Giants, coming up from the college ranks out of Tennessee. His first Major League Baseball game, at least regular season game, of course, going through spring training to get things going. I don't know what they're worrying about. This doesn't have that opening day flair to me. We got to get this game going. It was supposed to be 6:07, I believe, first pitch. It's now 6:20, or for me at least 6:07. It's now 6:22. We're 15 minutes late. I know opening day is oftentimes late, but when you're kicking off the season like this, you need to get it going. Shadows are likely going to be an issue in this game to start, the way it looks. Now, the mound and home plate are both in the shadows, but sunlight all the way through the vast majority of the infield and the entire outfield. It's going to be very interesting, tough to hit. We'll see what it's going to be like. We're still waiting for opening night to see its first pitch of the year. I did see a little bit of the lineups. Looked like Trent Grisham is going to be leading off for the Yankees. Judge in the 2-hole. Giancarlo Stanton, interestingly, was in the starting lineup. I think it's Bellinger in the 3. We'll have to wait to see the lineups come again. Bellinger in the 3, I believe Stanton, Chisholm. Jose Caballero is filling at shortstop. Anthony Volpe is hurt at the time. Ryan McMahon then is at third. Austin Wells, Ben Rice. I believe it's Ben Rice actually maybe in the 3 or 4 spot. But here we have the Giants are, in fact, now taking the field. We'll follow along on game day here on StreamYard, as well as I'll be watching the game live here right now on my phone, hopefully get it on my television. My old laptop is still trying to boot up. I've had all kinds of technical issues here to start the day. Not my favorite thing to deal with on opening day, but hey, it's opening day for a reason. Logan Webb taking the hill for the Giants. You haven't seen it, my prediction videos, especially my YouTube shorts for awards predictions. I do think Logan Webb can be the NL Cy Young Award winner. I know Paul Skeens exists. I know he's the favorite. In my predictions, I'll say I'm not someone who takes back-to-back winners. I do think there's a good chance that Paul Skeens does indeed win NL Cy Young again, especially with a supposedly much better Pirates team. We'll see about that. But Logan Webb is a guy who's so consistent every year, logs a bunch of innings. The strikeout numbers have increased in the past years. He's just really, really good. And I really like what the Giants bring. I think they can be a very competitive team. They've got a full season of Rafael Devers. They've got a full season of Adames. Now, Willie Adames is now a true Giant in the second season. Hopefully he can take a step forward. 30 home runs, first one since Barry Bonds in the early 2000s. For the Giants, we see some consistency at third base with Matt Chapman. Luis Arraez addition to me is very, very interesting. There's a lot of really interesting pieces to the Giants. They can really be a playoff team if the back end of the rotation and the bullpen can be very consistent for you. But looks like here we go. Trent Grisham is making his way to home plate. Finally, we are a go for opening day. So let's enjoy here, and game day should be set up for us. Let me see if I got our game day set up for us and working. And yes, we will enjoy some Major League Baseball. There we go. To get things going here. First pitch of the season is indeed a strike from Logan Webb. Looks like game day is ahead of the broadcast. No surprise there. Trent Grisham, of course, took the qualifying offer from the Yankees, $22-ish million this season. Really kind of throws things off in the Yankee offseason, they're saying. I don't know. We'll see what he can do. More than 30 home runs last year. I believe 34 home runs last year. Really, really good season for him. A real kind of a career year in all ways, walks, and form that way. But it'd be interesting to see if Grisham can repeat what he did last season, especially now that he's making as much money as it is. And we see Jason Dominguez, of course, is now in AAA because of that decision and that signing. So he gets some consistent playing time, possibly in center field. I guess we'll see where they play Jason Dominguez when he's down in AAA. But it'll be very interesting to see how the Yankees outfield shakes out. You're going to see a lot of Bellinger. You're always going to see Judge. Of course, he'll DH a few games likely as well. But Trent Grisham, I think, is a real potential game breaker for the Yankees. If you haven't seen my prediction videos, you have to go out and check those out, especially my World Series predictions. I do think the Yankees are a contender to win the AL East. That's where I have them pegged to win the AL East. I do think their lineup Again, coming back to last season, they were the highest scoring team in the American League. Running it back doesn't hurt them, in my opinion. We'll see how healthy guys like Giancarlo Stanton can be. I think Jose Caballero can really offer some real versatility and strength in terms of the run game, and see where it leads the Yankees. First batter of the game, swing and a miss on a high fastball, and Logan Webb has the first strike of the season on the first batter of the season, and that's going to bring up Aaron Judge. Yeah, I'm a little delayed. It looks like on the game, compared to the game day feed, the actual feed from Netflix is slightly delayed, but that is okay. There's just what Logan Webb offers, that ability to sink the fastball down, go up with the four-seam fastball, just a really quality up-down pitcher, throw a good changeup, good slider. One of the best pitchers in all of baseball that way. Aaron Judge coming off, of course, MVP season, 331 batting title, 53 home runs, 114 RBIs. He is the 1A, 1B, potentially best hitter in all of baseball between Judge and Ohtani. I don't think there's any question at this point in time of who the two best are. There's other guys that will enter the conversation this year, but they seem so far and above this. But if Aaron Judge stays healthy, yes, the Yankees are going to be a legit contender once again. But there is always that but when it comes to Aaron Judge a bit. If Aaron Judge does miss time, especially significant time, then the Yankees are going to have a hard time competing in what should be a very competitive American League. Outside of a couple, maybe two teams, I would say, maybe three teams in the American League that are not going to be contenders at all. It's going to be a very balanced league this year, for my opinion. The National League, not so much. National League has some teams. Now, the top-end teams, in my opinion, are in the National League. Some of the best are in the National League. However, in the National League, we do have those teams that are not going to be nearly as competitive. We have the likes of the Rockies, the Nationals. You can even make an argument for the Cardinals this season. Are three teams that are just not going to be competitive at all in the National League. In the American League, you can make the argument for the Twins, maybe the White Sox, so those two teams are both fairly young. They could take step forwards and really surprise and see where that goes with them. But as a whole, should be a very, very competitive American League. Aaron Judge goes on swinging. The second out of the inning goes to Logan Webb on another strikeout, this time Aaron Judge. What a way to start the season. Back-to-back Ks for Logan Webb. He is dealing early. And like I said, the shadows may be a part of that. Yeah, there's this pitch bearing in on Judge. Definitely some shadow issue there for players. Cody Bellinger in the 3 spot for the Yankees. Very good season for the Yankees. Re-signed in the offseason with a very solid contract for him. Running it back, be that left-hander behind Judge. Should have an opportunity to produce a bunch for the Yankees. It very much took advantage of that short porch at Yankee Stadium. Hit up the home run totals from his time at Wrigley. So we'll see where he goes from here. But certainly in a very good spot in the lineup for Bellinger to be hitting behind Aaron Judge. 2-1 count to Cody Bellinger. We do have plays. We do have the end of the inning. We've got some outs as Cody Bellinger flies out to left fielder Heliot Ramos. Yes, Heliot Ramos, the first Giant, and I believe it's in 10 years. I could be wrong. I believe it's 10 years that the Giants have had their first guy play back-to-back opening days in left field. And it's Heliot Ramos, who's 2 straight years as the opening day starter in left field for the Giants, which is an absolutely absurd statistic. I've seen some, I believe it's the first guy somewhere since Bonds, they said. Maybe even longer than that. I believe it actually is longer than that we've had, or yes, quite a few years anyway, since the last Giant to play back-to-back opening days in left field. It was the longest running position of any team in baseball where it wasn't existing. I believe the Pirates' first baseman is also running somewhere along those lines. Now, I think it's going to extend. I believe that's going to be the new one that takes over, as the Pirates will not have the same first base as last year. Likely to be Spencer Horwitz or Ryan O'Hearn, and neither of them started opening day last year. Ryan O'Hearn, of course, is new to the Pirates this season, and Spencer Horwitz was actually hurt to start last season, so I believe the longest running one now is going to be first base of the Pittsburgh Pirates. We don't have back-to-back opening day starters. I think that one goes back, I believe, almost to Pedro Alvarez is the last one of that nature for the Pirates. So we're going back quite a few years for back-to-back with them. Of course, that was after he'd moved over from third base. So really, really interesting. It's just kind of one of those quirks of baseball. The Giants lineup kicking off going to be Luis Arraez, of course, the very much contact-hitting middle infielder. We'll see how well he can play defensively. That's a little scary. Matt Chapman in the 2-hole. Rafael Devers in his first full year in San Francisco in 3. Willie Adames, Jung-Hoo Lee, Elliot Ramos, Casey Schmidt playing first base, Patrick Bailey, and Harrison Bader in the 9 spot. Harrison Bader, I really like that acquisition for the Giants. Big ballpark in San Francisco. You move Jung-Hoo Lee over to right. That really, really improves the defense. Ramos, Bader, and Lee left to right in the Giants outfield, I think, is very solid defensively. Bader is one of the better starting center fielders in terms of defensive ability. He's not necessarily the top of the top, but he is certainly a big improvement. Jung-Hoo Lee can certainly move around very well. Big right field, well, big outfield in general in San Francisco, but it definitely can cover a lot of ground. Jung-Hoo Lee in right field, covering up that corner and notch, really fits as well. I think it's a very solid defensive outfield for the Giants. So we'll see what they can do this year. Taking on Max Fried, I believe that's why the lefty getting the start. So Devers is a DH, and get Casey Schmidt in there. I think you'll often see Devers at first base as well. Luis Arraez to get it going for the Giants. The on-base machine, right? With the ability, contact ability, knows the strike zone so well. Probably a guy who can actually be very effective when it comes to the ABS and challenging, because he knows this zone so well. See what Max Fried can bring. Very, very solid year last year. Max Fried, top 5, I believe top 3 even in AL Cy Young Award. In his first season over the Yankees. No surprise there. Shocking. A lefty that throws well at Yankee Stadium, especially when he throws as hard as Max Fried. He might be on the top of the top, but he certainly throws hard enough to make advantage of that ballpark and pitching to contact and having players hit out to that left field, much larger left field. But there you have it, a 4-pitch walk to get it going for Luis Arraez. Not a speed guy, but if you can get on base in front of these big thumpers here in San Francisco, I think there's a lot of ability for Luis Arraez to score upwards of 100, if not more, runs. Again, defense is going to be the question mark with him to see if he can consistently play solid enough defense at second base and have enough range at second base to do the job. But we shall see. Especially guys like Matt Chapman, Rafael Devers, Willie Adames, the middle of the order definitely packs some punch here in San Francisco. As far as Giants predictions this year, I think Tony Vitello, I think, actually is going to be a very solid manager choice. I really like the choice. Someone new, a fresh mind, but someone who really knows the game for the Giants. Buster Posey taking over as the GM and really doing a good job, I think, in San Francisco. They got their big hitter in Devers last year. There's a lot to like about this lineup in terms of power and a mix of contact, especially adding a rise. You got Jung-Hoo Lee existing as well. So there's some very nice pieces to the lineup. Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, the top of the rotation, definitely impressed me. I think Robbie Ray can be very, very effective in San Francisco, provided he can consistently find the strike zone. It's going to be interesting to see what the Giants do with the back half of the rotation. I thought they lost a little bit. They have Tyler Mahle, who came in for Texas, could add a little bit there. Same with Adrian Hauser. So a couple of veteran arms who, if they can stay healthy, can be really, really good. If they can't stay healthy, that's going to be a big problem, because I don't think there's a lot of depth to the rotation in San Francisco. Especially I saw Hayden Birdsong is starting the year on the injured list, so that kind of hurts a little bit of the depth. The back end of the bullpen is interesting after dealing Camilo Doval over to these Yankees at the trade deadline last season. So Ryan Walker exists at the back end, so we'll see what they can do. Normally the Giants have a very good team. They have a very good shutdown bullpen in the back, but we'll see what they can do. Of course, it's the Dodgers division to win in the NL West. I don't think there's much question there. But the Giants, in my opinion, are as good, if not better, than the D-backs, and definitely better than the Rockies. I I think the Padres could be an interesting team. I don't know where they can go. I would favor, in my mind right now, I am favoring the Giants over the Padres, and that gives them an advantage to taking a playoff spot as well. We've got a ball in play from Matt Chapman, and it looks like a fielder's choice. Chapman's going to end up first, while Rise is out at second. Yeah, just a slow chopper to shortstop. Couldn't quite turn it. Looked very, very close. Potential challenge. So we are looking to see, wait and see. First challenge of the season, potentially. Nope, we're going to let it play, says Aaron Boone. Brings up Rafael Devers. He's got to take the ball. First pitch. Again, game day feed ahead of my television stream. But that's the way we are here on our watch party. But who cares? It is baseball season. We are live here on 3 Up, 3 Down. I hope you guys are really, really excited for this season. See what comes. I'm really excited for what this season can be. I think 2025 was such a tremendous season for Major League Baseball. I think it carried over the World Baseball Classic. I think there's a ton of people very high on Major League Baseball right now. In fact, I can definitely see conversations around, is it the number 2 sport back in the United States? I certainly believe it is. In fact, I think you can make the argument Canada is as well. I think hockey reigns supreme in Canada, of course, still to this day. But the NFL is in Canada, I don't know. Across the United States, definitely it's NFL 1, but I think Major League Baseball has surpassed the NBA. The fact there's so many teams tanking in the NBA and everything that's going along there, I think there's a lot of excitement for Major League Baseball. This is why it's so important to get a new CBA done and see what it sets up for next season. We need a full 2026 and a full 2027 season. There is no question in my mind to really ride this momentum for Major League Baseball. Games just got so many young stars at the moment, so many young names being talked about, and some of the superstars are just so young as is. As Devers flies the ball at center field, that is going to drop. There is the first hit of the season. Matt Chapman wisely goes all the way around to third. Devers on a seeing eye, no, not a Texas leaguer is this term. Texas leaguer out to center field that's going to drop. I think the sun may have been a bit of an issue there. It seemed like a rather high fly ball. It was a rather high fly ball. It's going to drop in there. Looks like the sun may have been a bit of an issue, which gives Willie Adames a chance to drive to the first run, first and third with 1 out. Max Fried gets a big strikeout of Willie Adames. And now Jung Hoo Lee just grounds out to second. That is going to end the inning with no runs scored. The Giants fail to capitalize as Max Fried gets out of it with a strikeout and a ground out. Great pitch selection, great choice by Jung-Hoo Lee, but just drives it right to the second baseman, Jazz Chisholm. That ends the inning. Scoreless after one here on opening day, or probably opening night, I should say, Yankees and Giants. We are live here on YouTube, opening night, Yankees and Giants. My name is Shane. I am 3 up, 3 down. We are hanging out watching the ball game. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you are out there, make sure you come and chat with me. We're talking all kinds of baseball tonight. Where is my chat? Let me bring up my chat. Anyway, chatting and chatting. We need to get some people in here to start chatting, talking baseball. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Come and hang out with me. Where are you? Opening night, Major League Baseball. We are hanging out. I've had some technical difficulties early on. I do apologize for that, but we are hoping to have you guys are good to go now. You've got your game day up. We are enjoying the game. I'm hoping you have my TV soon. All kinds of technical difficulties here, but we will make it work. Of course, get ready for the season. Lots of the games coming tomorrow. I believe the big one, Diamondbacks and Dodgers. The Dodgers kick off their season. Very interesting is the Diamondbacks. We've used to them being actually starting the season in Japan lately, but the WBC going on. Of course, they are now back on U.S. soil to get it kicked off this season. Very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. A bit of the big news we got to talk. We've talked a lot about the NL West, talking AL East. I do have the Yankees, one of the contenders there. Very, very good division, the AL East this season, as Ben Rice kicks it off here in the second inning for the Yankees with a ground out. But I think the Yankees can be very competitive. A big, big thing for the Yankees, if they can stay in the pack early on this season, it was just announced today, in fact, Garrett Cole is on the 15-day IL, not the 60-day, which is very, very interesting. If he'd been on the 60-day, would have been until May 24th, around that time, before he was eligible to start the season. He pitched a little bit in spring training, which tells me he is maybe closer to ready than what we originally thought. Maybe it's going to be an early May potential for Garrett Cole, maybe even a late April. Who knows how long it's going to take him to build up after Tommy John surgery, but maybe closer to early May than late May, which would put him on 3 weeks ahead of schedule. If that is the case, that is a huge, huge boost for the Yankees. Adding Garrett Cole earlier in the season rather than later. You throw Carlos Rodon in on that injury front as well. Combine him with Max Fried. Combine him with Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Luis Gil. You have got a ton of starting rotation depth in the Bronx. Very, very good line, or very good rotation setting up there. Not even talking about Luis Gil, who's starting the year in AAA because they don't need a fifth starter until towards the end, middle-ish of April because of off days and things like that. So that is very, very interesting. Yankees are first and second with one out now after Jazz Chisholm hit by a pitch. So they've got a chance to score some runs here. One out for Jose Caballero, a speedster playing shortstop for the Yankees. So there's a lot of really good things going on in terms of the Yankee rotation. The bullpen will be interesting for them. David Bednar looked really good in the WBC. Camilo Doval can take a step forward. If those two guys can be what they can be, which is very, very good, the Yankee bullpen should be just fine. If not, that's going to be a very scary piece of this team. Other teams in the AL East, Blue Jays, of course, my Blue Jays, I think, have added a ton. I really like the acquisition of Dylan Cease. Yes, he's probably overpaid, but he's a very good starting pitcher. I'd like to see what Pete Walker can do with him, the pitching coach, to set them up for success this season. Kazuma Okamoto over third base, but as a Barger more in right field, I'm perfectly fine with that. Looks like we have our first runs of the season as Jose Caballero looks like he's got an RBI double to Cash Stanton and move Jazz Chisholm to third. I'm just watching here on the feed. Yes, indeed. A double down the left field line with the speed. Ramos takes a shot at third, but that is going to be a double for Caballero and leads the Yankees 1-0 to begin the season here. First runs coming on the board. Yeah, the AL East, again, Blue Jays really set themselves up nicely. Yes, it hurts to lose Bo Bichette. I do think they have some pieces. The Anthony Santander injury and lost him for up to 6 months really hurts as well. But I think they've got enough rotation. They'll get some guys back. Savage, Barrios, Savage and Bieber are going to be kind of a late start the season. That will be okay. Kind of limit some innings for Savage. Bieber, I'm sure, will be fine. This is a slow build-up after Tommy John for him. I think they're going to be very successful that way. Max Scherzer's back. So there's enough starting rotation right now. I think they'll be very good by the middle of the season to get these arms healthy. Red Sox are the real interesting one. I think they've added a ton of starting pitching depth behind Garrett Crochet. You add Ranger Suarez. You add Sonny Gray. That is a very, very deep rotation with Brian Bayo as well. I think they can be very good. I'm wondering about the lineup for them. Everybody's very, very high on Roman Anthony. We'll see what he can do and how successful he can be. I don't know if there's a ton of pop in this lineup. I know Trevor Story brings it. Willer Abreu, if he can be very successful with them. Jarren Duran needs to have a better season. Looks like Ryan McMahon has just singled in a couple of runs. Indeed, yes, up the middle. The Yankees are score a couple more and take a 3-0 lead. So much for my NL Cy Young pick from Logan Webb. It's the first game of the season. It is what it is. Logan Webb will get better. But the Yankees are taking advantage of some pitches left in the middle of the zone. A changeup that left in the middle of the zone there. A big swing from a guy who's very well known, and Ryan McMahon knows Logan Webb very well from his time in Colorado. As far as the rest of the AL East, in Baltimore, they've added to rotation depth, although the rotation depth they added, I don't know how good it really is. It'll be very interesting to see what that looks like. Zach Eflin's back, Shane Baz. You got Bradish and Kramer who are both healthy. Trevor Rogers, if he's anything like he was the second half of last season, should really help. Pete Alonso and Taylor Ward coming in is definitely going to help in terms of power production. But as far as consistency of the lineup, I'm not sure it's there yet in Baltimore. I'm not sure what some of the younger guys are yet. Jackson Holiday is dealing with the injury. Jordan Westberg, Heston Kjerstad's coming off a big injury from last season. I believe a concussion coming off last season. So it's going to be really interesting what the O's can be. Gunnar Henderson is a star and stud for them, but we will see what the rest of the lineup will look like around Pete Alonso and Taylor Ward. And then you have Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay has got a very good 4 guys in the rotation, or probably 4 guys in their lineup, I would say. You got your Caminero, Aranda, and Yandy Diaz. I think Chandler Simpson, the top of the lineup, can be very good. There's a lot of good pieces in Tampa Bay. The rotation could be really, really good if Shane McClanahan is indeed healthy again, added with Ryan Pepio, Drew Rasmussen. They got some veterans as well, as we have another RBI double for the Yankees. Looks like Austin Wells on that one, and it is now 5-0 New York here in the second inning. The Yankees are showing just why they are one of the top contenders in the American League. So there's going to be a real battle in the American League East in particular. There's potentially 3 teams. You can maybe make an argument that you could see 4 teams make the playoffs from the AL East. I don't see that. I think 3 is probably top from any division, but it is going to be a real battle to get 3 teams from the AL East in the playoffs this season. So a triple from Trent Grisham to make it 5-0. 5-0 Yankees here already in the second inning. Logan Webb just cannot find it here in the second inning. to combat the Yankee bats. They've done a very, very good job getting the ball in the middle of the zone and taking advantage of it. Get a little bit of injury delay as a check in on Trent Grisham as he slid in hard. The third ran into Matt Chapman there. So 5-0 the Yankees, only one out still. Aaron Judge up in the top of the second inning. It's a lot going on in San Francisco in this inning. Logan Webb is going to have to find it very, very, very soon, or it's going to be a very short outing for him to kick off the season. And they got Judge up, and we're back in here. Called strike to Judge, looking up in the zone. Of course, the big thing to talk this year, the change is the ABS challenge system. Each team can challenge now balls and strikes, minimum of 2 times per game. Of course, if you win your challenge, you get to keep it. If you lose your challenge, it is gone entirely. So it'll be very interesting to see how teams make use of that. Who's got that green light to challenge at any time for the teams? Are pitchers going to be challenging, or is it going to be catcher leading it in terms of the defensive side? Who's going to be making use of these challenges? Who's going to be very good at these challenges? It's very interesting how it is measured. So if you don't know, it's not from a player's batting stance. It is actually calculated from their height. And this is what's very interesting. We see some height corrections of players in terms of their listings around Major League Baseball. Some guys are now taller. Some guys are now shorter than what they were believed to be. That's where ABS comes into that a little bit. So it's taken off of the height as to where it's going to be measured. So that's very interesting to me. So a player with a large crouch in their stance is going to throw the umpires off a little bit. I think you're going to see low pitches challenged a lot more frequently, because what you see is at the knees in terms, or just for the bottom of the knee or the hollow of the knee, if we will, that we think of as a strike in the batting stance is actually not a strike based off of ABS. I think that's where you're going to see some interesting challenges. And at the upper part of the zone, the strikes was actually probably a little taller than what it looks like, especially guys that crouch a lot in their batting stance. That brings up Cody Bellinger, though. Cody Bellinger is one of those interesting candidates where he has such an upright stance that what you see in terms of a batting stance and what's calculated from an ABS are basically dead on, because he has very, very little crouch at all in his stance. So a player like Cody Bellinger is almost game on for an umpire, because it's very simple to read in terms of the up-down side of a challenge system. So I think a guy like Cody Bellinger is a little easier to understand when a pitch has been severely missed or miscalled, at least in terms of ABS. But players with that large crouch in their batting stance will be a little bit harder to read for umpires, and will make for some interesting challenges. I think it's some interesting results around the league. May have a video coming out that in the next little while, once we get a little bit of feedback and see who has been very successful at challenges. 2 years ago, in fact, it was Cal Raleigh when it was tested in spring training. Cal Raleigh went actually perfect in all of his challenges as a catcher for the Mariners. I don't know if that came out as a pitcher, but Logan Webb does get out of it. A couple of strikeouts of Judge and Bellinger, but the Yankees get 5 runs and now lead at 5-0, heading to the bottom of the second to see if the Giants can start to chip away. With the Giants coming back here in the second inning, Elliot Ramos, Casey Schmidt, and Patrick Bailey, 6, 7, 8 for the Giants to get it going. With Max Fried back on the hill for the Yankees. So we're talking all kinds of baseball, of course, here on 3 Up, 3 Down opening night. Yankees. Yankees, Giants. Yankees have a 5-0 lead at this time as we hang out and take in some game day. Kicking off the Major League season. We're going around the horn a little bit, division by division, Let's talk about the NL Central as we have National League team up to the plate. A lot going on in the NL Central, of course. Just announced today. It was talked about a lot yesterday, but Pete Crow Armstrong has signed a significant extension to keep him in Cubbyland for quite a while. They brought in Alex Bregman. They had a solid enough rotation last year. Should get Justin Steele back at some point in time. Looks like the Cubs are probably the favorites in the National League Central. Of course, the Brewers ran away that division at the end of last season. The top record in the National League and in all baseball last season, in fact, was the Milwaukee Brewers. You really have to like their brand of baseball, that contact ability from the lineup. But the big trade of Freddie Peralta, losing him to the New York Mets, trading him away, and watching that happen, really put a damper on their offseason. Rookie of the Year candidate Caleb Durbin from last year was also dealt to the Red Sox. It's some interesting cost-cutting moves in Milwaukee, which always seems to be the story of the day there. So the question is going to be who can take that big step forward for the Brewers especially in terms of their rotation. Could the Miz, Jacob Mizorowski, could he take a step forward? Can Brandon Woodruff stay healthy and add some there? Quinn Priester. They've got a solid rotation if healthy, but that is going to be a big question mark, as well as their bullpen. Again, their bullpen seems to be very solid when they can stay healthy. It was a really, really good season last year for the Brewers. We'll see what they can do this year. I'm not buying it as much, but we'll see what the Brewers. They always seem to exceed expectations during the regular season and then fall flat in the playoffs with that brand of baseball. So we'll see what they can do this season. Lots of talk in Pirate Land about the Pirates finally spending some money and breaking the $100 million payroll threshold, although it still ranks, I believe, 23rd in all of baseball. They've added some nice pieces. Ryan O'Hearn is a nice piece that should help offensively. Brandon Lau will provide some power out of second base. They've dealt from their rotation a bit. They still have, of course, Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Bubba Chandler, Brandon Ashcraft are expected to be the top 4 guys in the rotation, and see what they can offer to the Pirates. I wish they got another bat. I think they could have really done well with Eugenio Suarez coming as a third baseman. That did not happen. So they got Jared Triolo and Nick Gonzalez figuring it out at short and third. We'll see how long it takes before Connor Griffin is brought up. He has been sent down. We'll start the season in AAA, the exciting young teenager, and see if he can be a step forward for the Pirates in the right direction. I believe if he'd signed an extension, maybe there would be the possibility to start the year in Pittsburgh, but that didn't happen. So he begins the year in AAA. So we'll see how that works out for the Pirates. The Reds have had bad news that Hunter Green is out likely until, I think it sounds like July, their ace starter. Now they've got a good run-off rotation. Brady Singer, Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, Chase Burns is a probably a youthful arm. I'm not sold on their rotation being one of the top ones. It could be. It has the potential to, but we just haven't seen it from all of these guys consistently. Same with the lineup. It feels like Ellie De La Cruz and Sal Stewart could take a big step forward. Spencer Steer has had solid seasons. Matt McClain could get back to what he did. It was 2 years ago rather than last year. I guess it'd be 3 years ago now rather than last year. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the Reds can be. And then the first time in a long, long, long time, I'd say the Cardinals are rebuilding. They've dealt away a lot of pieces. We'll see what guys like Mason Wynn and Jordan Walker can offer to them, but will be interesting. Oy. So it's very interesting NL Central, in my opinion. I can see shockingly, I think you could see 4 teams win the division. You could see the Reds And the only team that can't, I don't think, would be the Cardinals. The Reds could potentially win the division. You never know here. Same with the Pirates, same with the Brewers, same with the Cubs. But I really think it does come down to a race between the Cubs and the Brewers for that division. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Mac here. And a called third strike to Patrick Bailey that looked inside, but no challenge yet. Apparently, Patrick Bailey is not one of those guys with the green light in San Francisco, at least not as a hitter. I think he'd be very good as a catcher with the challenge system, but we will see. Still no challenges yet. Taking a look at the other division we have talked about is the AL West. Of course, Seattle made the run to the ALCS before they're knocked out by the Toronto Blue Jays and that big George Springer home run, of course. Back with the entire rotation, that really sets them up. I love the acquisition of Brendan Donovan in Seattle. I think that really lengthens that lineup, covers up the Eugenio Suarez idea. Josh Naylor re-signs, covers up the Jorge Polanco bit. I think they got some young prospects, Colt Emerson and Young. I can't remember if it's Colt Young too. I question him in my mind now. Potentially waiting the wings there. J.P. Crawford in the shortstop can provide a lot of defense. Julio Rodriguez, if he has a full season like he did the second half of last season, is without question an MVP candidate. I think you can get more out of Randy Rosarena. And I think they get more in right field. They got Victor Robles and Luke Raley. And Raley did not play much at the end of last season. He was really banged up. If he can be healthy, he can be very, very useful hitter, especially in a platoon advantage as a lefty against right-handed starters. I really like what Luke Raley could offer them. Andres Munoz is back in the back of the bullpen. They've got a legit bullpen, legit pitching staff. I do think that the favorites and my pick for the AL West winner is indeed the Seattle Mariners. The interesting team out there is there's two interesting teams to my mind, and that's the Houston Astros and the Athletics, of whatever you want to call them. The Athletics have got that stellar young lineup. Guys like Langeliers, Soderstrom, Brent Rooker is a solid candidate there. Jacob Wilson. There's just so much to like about Nick Kurtz, of course, who can legitimately lead the league in home runs potentially. Had a huge rookie season. There is a legit offense for the Athletics. Playing that little bandbox too, that at the minor league stadium really helps as well. If they get any pitching, and I mean any pitching, out of guys like Luis Severino, Jeffrey Springs, guys that are actually capable pitchers, if they can produce even league average, even slightly below league average, the Athletics are a potential playoff contender. And that takes you to Houston. I don't know what the Houston Astros are this year. We did not see much from Yordan Alvarez last year. If he is not healthy, that is going to be a huge problem. They've lost a lot of high-end rotation guys. They've lost so much star power the last few years, losing Bregman and Tucker and Valdez now. There's a lot missing in Houston. You still got Hunter Brown. Jeremy Pena is a very, very solid shortstop. Jose Altuve is still there. They need more out of Christian Walker. They need more out of Carlos Correa. They need to figure out what they're going to do with Isaac Paredes. I really don't know what the answer is there. Maybe it's Jordan playing. Can't see Jordan playing extra outfield and getting Paredes in as a DH. So there's a bit of a trade candidate there. Yainer Diaz is a very solid catcher, at least with the bat, maybe not so much defensively. But they're counting on a lot of young guys in the outfield, so we'll see what comes of that. I don't love the depth of the rotation. Guys that are kind of coming back who've been hurt for a long time, like guys like Christian Javier and Lance McCullers Jr., are they really going to be leaning on those guys to be able to compete in a very tough division? Texas is also interesting. I don't think they're as solid. I do like their rotation. I think it's one of the better ones in baseball, actually, if they're all healthy. Nathan Eovaldi there, Jacob deGrom, Mackenzie Gore, Jack Leiter, I think, can take a big step forward. Kumar Rocker. There's potential for a very, very good rotation in Texas. The lineup, though, just is not what we've been expecting Brendan Nimmo is a solid enough piece, but he doesn't really replace much more than Marcus Semien at best. There's just not a lot to like about the offense. If Evan Carter could ever stay healthy and get back to what he was in 2023, that would really, really help this team moving forward. I just don't know what they are offensively. I don't think they're going to be very good offensively. So we'll see what becomes of the Texas Rangers. And that would leave then, who am I forgetting out west? The Angels, of course. It's easy to forget the Angels because they've just fallen off so much. And I think Zach Neto is one of the most underrated shortstops in all of baseball. I think he is a legit star. But outside of that, I don't know what the Angels are. Joe Adele put up a bunch of home runs last season, but I don't know if he'll produce much else. Mike Trout is now always hurt, which is really, really sad for the game of baseball. If you could see a rebounding Mike Trout where he plays 140 games, that would be really, really good for the game of baseball. We need to have Mike Trout back, being healthy, producing, and hopefully taking the Angels a step forward. Their rotation is just scary. I don't know what they're trying to be in rotation-wise. They got some young guys on the cusp that could come up here that may even start the season in the majors. We will see what happens with that Angels rotation. There is a building there in terms of the rotation, but we'll see what those guys can do and if the development is enough that they can be very, very successful in the major league level, which would be really nice to get the Angels back to being a solid team. But I just don't see it in the next few years. But you never know. We will see what comes of it. Logan Webb looks back on track. It's Ben Rice to strike out to start the third inning. And a ground out from Giancarlo Stanton. So after a really rough second inning, giving out 5 runs, Logan Webb, 5 runs on 5 hits. In fact, Logan Webb has got it back together. First couple outs, the first 2 batters here in the third. If you are out there watching, make sure you drop a comment in the chat. We'll talk any baseball out there. Yankees lead 5-0 here against the Giants in the top of the third inning. As we kick off the Major League season here on opening night, live on Netflix in the U.S. Here in Canada, where I am, we are watching it live on Sportsnet. I thought I was going to have it on Netflix. Apparently, they don't do that here in Canada. Sportsnet has the right, so it is what it is. We make do with technology that we have. Of course, technology from me right down is the game day stream, of course, that you guys can see. And I'm watching it live on my phone because my television is not working because I had to hook up a different laptop. So it is what it is out there. Quick inning for Logan Webb. 3 up, 3 down, gets it back on track. See if the Giants can chip away at the Yankee lead. Looks like they're going to have the top of the order, in fact, coming up for the Giants in that third inning. Major League Baseball opening night watch party right here on 3 Up, 3 Down as we enjoy the beginning of the 2026 Major League Baseball season. So much to look forward to this season. Especially we kick it off here with Yankees, Giants, all kinds of very interesting stories across Major League Baseball, of course. Talking about today, we just saw the big re-signing extension given to Pete Crow Armstrong a long-term deal. I believe it buys out, I think I saw 60 years or maybe 7 years, buys out a couple years of free agency, over $100 million for Pete Armstrong. At less than $20 million a year, though, I think that's really important for the Cubs, getting less than $20 million per season for that extension. We know that PCA is one of the elite defenders in center field and across Major League Baseball. You add the speed. The bat is interesting. If he can have the first half that he had last season and carry that through for an entire year, he is a legit MVP candidate in the National League because of his all-around game. But he really struggled the second half, has not figured out how to hit left-handed pitching. Any progress made this season on that part of his game can really help him moving forward and be one of the elite center fielders in Major League Baseball. At this time, he is certainly a very solid piece to what should be a very exciting and very solid team in Chicago. Where there's been talks of other extensions along the way. We'll see if there's any other youngsters that get some of these big extensions. Connor Griffin has had that chat in Pittsburgh. Maybe we see now that Kevin McGonigal is going to start opening day as it looks like the starting shortstop for the Detroit Tigers. Maybe he's a candidate for an extension before we really get too far into the season. The other one is Connor Griffin, of course. JJ Weatherholt is going to looks like going to be the starting. I'm not sure if it's going to be second or third base. I haven't seen yet in St. Louis. Likely the starting second baseman. Maybe he's a candidate, high-end prospect there with a candidate for an extension there as well. Lots and lots of really talented young players. Which leads me to the other crosstown in the other part of Chicago. Of course, the south side with the White Sox. I think the White Sox are going to be a much better team this season. We haven't talked about the AL Central. So we've talked Kevin McGonigal. I think the Detroit Tigers, the Tigers have a really good rotation. I don't know what people think. They have Skubal and Valdez and Verlander and Flaherty and Mize. There's a really good starting rotation in Detroit. It's no longer just Skubal and piece it together. Now the question is going to be the lineup. Can they produce enough runs? Can Riley Green start to limit the strikeouts? Can Gleyber Torres have another solid season in him? Can they produce enough runs? That is going to be the interesting part in the AL Central with the Tigers. Of course, when we're talking a lack of runs, we're always going to be talking the team that won the division last year, and that's the Cleveland Guardians. I just don't know where they score runs. It's Jose Ramirez and a question mark after question mark after question mark. I know Steven Kwan is a really good player, but he cannot drive an offense like one of the top-end players in baseball. He's a very solid player, definitely above-average player, but he's not a lineup driver, if we will. There is a good rotation there still, Bybee and Williams. And the Cleveland always has a good rotation, it seems. Guys you've never heard of. Cody Adams is Cody Adams? I don't know, a question in my mind. Cody at the back end of the bullpen for Cleveland, or probably not Cody Adams. Caleb Smith. It's Caleb Smith, the Canadian. What am I talking about? Caleb Smith is the back end of the bullpen in Cleveland now, but I just do not know where they're ever going to score enough runs. So definitely question marks in Cleveland. Team I'm high on is Kansas City in the AL Central. I actually like the offense for once in Kansas City. There is some progress being made. WBC MVP, Michael Garcia. Bobby Witt Jr. is probably the third best player in all of baseball. Bobby Witt Jr. is absolutely incredible. One of my favorite players in baseball to watch. Of course, I love Salvador Perez, one of the top catchers in baseball still in terms of the bat, even though the defense is questionable. Vinny Pasquantino is an elite level, potentially, first baseman. I really like what they have. Carter Jensen is a rookie to look out for in Kansas City. They've got 6 or 7 really good hitters in there in Kansas City. I think they've got a very solid team. They can have a very solid rotation as well with Reagans and Lugo and Waka if Chris Bubich can stay healthy and Carlos Estevez at the back of the bullpen. Kansas City is a legit team, and I think is the team that can best compete with Detroit in that division. We started off with this is the White Sox, but I think the White Sox are very interesting. Munetaka Murakami is one of those guys I just want to see what he can do in Major League Baseball. He is so exciting to watch, in my opinion. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how his game moves over from Japan. He's been so good at the WBCs when we've had a chance to watch him. Adding Colson Montgomery. There's some young starters coming in Chicago with the White Sox. There's some nice pieces around them. Well, Austin Hayes could be a very nice piece in Chicago with the White Sox. Chase Meadrith. There is some potential there. The White Sox are starting to progress. and look out for them in the second half of the season. And then lastly, the Minnesota Twins. The Twins are completely and totally rebuilding. The chances of Joe Ryan being there for the full season, I just don't see that happening. You already have Pablo Lopez hurt. It feels like a full teardown in Minnesota. Luke Keeschel is a sub player I'm excited to watch. Byron Buxton, if he can stay healthy. There are some, maybe a Walker Jenkins if he comes up this season. There are some pieces in Minnesota that are going to be very interesting to watch. Potentially in the second half, they start to add more and more of these youngsters in. But I just don't see where Minnesota is going to be very good this season. Maybe they're better than the White Sox. Maybe not. But there's a very similar competitive level, I think, this season. Looks like I maybe finally add some text or fix some tech around here. So give me a couple minutes. I'll be right back, see if I can get this going, make myself a little bit easier to watch. Not quite yet. The tech has made progress, but it's just not there quite yet.
We're going around the horn a little bit, division by division, talking and get a real offer in seconds. We come to you, and you get paid on the spot. Go to Clutch.ca and find out your car's worth today. Adjusted and settled. Yeah, they were obviously getting a little more aggressive.
Heading top four, we have the Giants and the Yankees. The Yankees currently lead at 5-0 here in the top of the fourth, kicking it off the opening night of Major League Baseball season. Live on Netflix going on in the U.S. Yankees are going to lead off this inning with Caballero, McMahon, and Wells, who produced a ton of damage in the second inning against Logan Webb. See if he can find it a little bit better here as we enjoy it in 3 up, 3 down. Make sure you are commenting. We're talking all kinds of baseball here, right here on 3 up, 3 down, as we enjoy the beginning of another Major League Baseball season. Let me know how excited you guys are for the season. I am super, super excited. I think this is going to be a very, very good season across Major League Baseball. A ton of young talent that we've been talking about already tonight. A lot of youngsters coming in. We have a ton of, we really have two of the best players potentially of all time battling it out right now. Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani across Major League Baseball, who are going to bring all kinds of eyes to the game. I don't think there's any question about Ohtani as one of the elite players, especially in his last couple of seasons in the playoffs. Aaron Judge, I think, still has to answer some questions about playoff performances. And even, we're not going to really hold the WBC too much against him, as it is a preseason style of tournament. But we'll see what he can do if he's going to have a playoff run this year, if he can answer some of those questions. But certainly one of the most talented hitters we have in Major League Baseball, no question. There are other guys out there in terms of MVP candidates as well. I have talked a little bit tonight. Bobby Witt Jr., I think, is one of the elite players across Major League Baseball, as is Juan Soto, who's my choice for NL MVP. Although when I pick NL MVPs, any award predictions I do, I'm never going to pick the same guy who won it the year before. So my choice this year was Juan Soto, which really brings us to that AL East division we have not talked about too much tonight. But if you're interested, drop a line in the comments, and we'll talk anything you guys want to talk about in terms of Major League Baseball. But talking about the NL East, if you haven't seen it, check out my awards predictions video. We dropped on, when did I drop that on? On Monday. I got more content coming for you guys for the next little while. Some breakout hitters, breakout pitchers videos coming up, as well as an 8 bold predictions video. So make sure you are subscribed to 3 Up, 3 Down, of course, so you're not missing out on any of that content. But as for the NL East, I do have the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies battling out at the top of that division. I know there's going to be question marks in New York about the rotation. I think Freddie Peralta helps answer some of those questions. I think the back end of the bullpen with Devin Williams. I think Devin Williams is going to be better this season. He had a really good, actually a pretty solid second half last year with the Yankees. It was really the beginning that really hurt him. And just never got back to being the guy that we saw in Milwaukee. So maybe a move back to the National League with the Mets will help him. There's some interesting pieces across the Mets. I don't know about Jorge Polanco playing first base. We'll see how that works out. I really don't know about Bo Bichette playing third base. I watched him play enough shortstop in Toronto to really question whether he's going to be able to be a capable third baseman at all in the major leagues. We'll see where that goes there. But they got some nice pieces offensively. Francisco Lindor, if he can get past the hamate bone injury, it looks like he's ready for opening day. Juan Soto is the elite of the elite in baseball. I actually think the ABS challenge system is someone he's really going to help. Is really going to help a player like Juan Soto and make sure that he limits some of these calls and maybe helps him get some calls that he wouldn't normally get without the challenge system, which would be very interesting. See how that works out. I really like Nolan McLean. I think he can be a very solid starter for the Mets. They're going to be battling the Phillies. The Phillies, in my mind, it's going to be question marks in terms of health. They are older. Is Zach Wheeler going to be healthy consistently? Is Aaron Nola going to be able to bounce back? I like Christopher Sanchez. I like Jesus Luzardo. See what Andrew Painter can be. See what the offense can be. They are not as deep as they've been offensively as they have in years past. That's going to be a question mark. See what guys like Bryce Harper, Trey Turner can continue to do for the Phillies. I really question where you're going with that team. This may be their last chance. I really do believe that. Kyle Schwarber, as long as there as well. As far as the rest of the division, I'm really low on the Atlanta Braves this season. I know it sounds really funny, but I am low on the Atlanta Braves. The reason for that is they have a ton of injuries already this season. They've lost Spencer Schwellenbach for a while, Hurston Waldrip, Ha-Sung Kim, Sean Murphy. Spencer Strider is going to start the year on the injured list. There is a ton already missing for Atlanta. And this is a team in the last 2 years have been significantly banged up. So I'm not liking what I see in Atlanta and makes me question whether they can get back to what they were in the early 2020s here. The team that's on the rise in the AL East, or probably NL East, for me, is the Marlins. The Miami Marlins have a very nice young core. I like the middle of the lineup, or the middle of the diamond. Xavier Edwards, Otto Lopez. They've got a nice outfield, very young outfield. Jacob Marcy, Kyle Stowers, who unfortunately started on the injuries list, and Owen Casey coming over the Edward Cabrera trade with the Cubs. There is a lot to like. Sandy Alcantara, Max Meyer in the rotation, Yuri Perez. It's very young outside of Alcantara. There is a ton of potential. I like Agustin Ramirez, the catcher, the young catcher. So much to like. And as far as the Nationals are, you're going to have to quite tell me who is in the Nationals rotation, who is in the Nationals lineup. Outside of James Wood and CJ Abrams, there is a lot to not like about this Nationals team. I would like to see Josiah Gray get back and be healthy. I think it's very interesting to see what he could offer if he can get back to being healthy. But there's very little question. The Nationals are going to be flirting with losing 100 games. It's certainly possible they're going to lose 100 games. Dylan Cruz has started the year in AAA. Just hasn't shown any development that way. The Pirates certainly made the right decision there. Remember when it was a choice between Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz for the number 1 overall pick, and the Pirates took Paul Skeens, and there was question marks of whether they should have taken Dylan Cruz? I think we've answered those questions. They did the right guy in taking Paul Skeens. First and second with 2 outs here for the Yankees. Logan Webb trying to get out another gem. 5-0 already, the Yankees, though. Giants, Logan Webb's already up to, what's he got up to? Already up to 68 pitches here, and he's working in the fourth inning, nearly through the fourth inning. He's battling here with, is that Aaron Judge? Aaron battling with the Judge. If runners on 2 on and 2 out facing Judge. See if he can get him for a third time potentially. Judge already 0 for 2, 2 Ks. But he's been the lone weak spot, really, aside from, well, you've got Judge, the middle of the lineup, Judge, Bellinger, and Rice, who are combined 0 for 6. But the rest of the Yankee lineup has really gotten to Logan Webb, especially in that 5-run second inning. Really surprised at that one bad inning. Outside of the one bad inning for Webb, this could be a real game. Max Fried has certainly been dealing for the Yankees after a quick couple of runners on in the first inning. And once again, Aaron Judge strikes out his third strikeout of the game as Logan Webb gets out of the fourth. The Yankees still lead 5-0. Get Adames, Lee, and Ramos coming up for the Giants, see if they can get things going against Max Fried, who outside of a couple blips in the radar to start the first inning has been very, very good for the Yankees. Through 3 innings, he has thrown, we have 2 pitch count. For Fried is up to 50 pitches through 3 innings for Max Fried. Welcome to everyone who's been in out here tonight. 3 up, 3 downs. First ever opening night watch party of the Major League Baseball season. Taking in the Yankees and Giants. Yankees currently up 5-0. Picking up 5 runs off of Logan Webb to the Giants in the second inning. They're currently interviewing Aaron Boone. He has to be very happy with the production there. Besides the fact that Aaron Judge is 0 for 3 with 3 Ks tonight for the Yankees. It's been the bottom part of the lineup in particular. And if the bottom part of the Yankee lineup produces, they are going to be a true competitor this season. As we get off in the bottom of the fourth, Giants and Yankees trying to just check in my tech to make sure everything's working, you guys. My apologies. It seemed to be. Going to check on my tech. 1 minute. My apologies, I'm back. Just checking in my tech, just making sure things are working for you guys. Make sure you leave a little comment in the chat. We're talking all kinds of baseball here on 3 Up, 3 Down, enjoying opening night. Yankees, Giants. Of course, the Yankees are still leading here 5-0. If you haven't subscribed to 3 Up, 3 Down, make sure you subscribe. You saw a bunch of my World Series predictions video dropped on Monday. We have a bunch of awards predictions I did in YouTube Shorts. Make sure you check some of those out. We got some new content coming out soon. I believe Friday was a breakout hitters video. I believe is going to drop on Friday. And then next week we have a breakout pitchers video. We got 5 guys, top 5 guys I think are going to break out. Of course, my consideration for a breakout is hitters that have not had 100 or above OPS plus, doing so, as well as pitchers that are using ERA plus, as well as an upcoming video on the top 8 bold predictions I've got for the Major League season. Should have some prospect videos coming out. We're going to have a video hopefully talking about the new CBA or potentially new CBA and what that could do for Major League Baseball moving forward. Of course, we all want Major League Baseball to have opening day at this time in 2027. There is the concerns of a work stoppage, the talk of salary cap, all the different pieces along the way that way. Hopefully we can avoid that, but we got to really majorly have basketball has to really focus on this season, taking care of, make sure we have a very solid 2026. I think 2025 was a fantastic season across Major League Baseball. Terrific World Series. I know my Toronto Blue Jays lost, but a fantastic World Series. You think about some of the spectacles there, how close the play was with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, how quickly it could have been a Toronto Blue Jays winning the World Series. We had the just incredible 18-inning game. Was that game 3? And then the Blue Jays followed that back up by winning the next game 4 and 5. What just a fantastic baseball game. I was up to the wee hour of the morning watching that one. Just a really terrific spectacle for Major League Baseball. We have a ton of young talent across Major League Baseball as well that really, really is showing a lot of promise across the league and the health of the league, and so much talent that's being developed. Of course, come late or mid to late May, I'll have you talking local baseball. I like to throw out a couple of videos on local baseball. For me, my local league is the Western Canadian Baseball League. Hopefully I get out to a few more games. Last year I was at the opening day game, or home opener for the Saskatoon Berries last season. I had a lot of fun with that. Can't talk anymore. Had a lot of fun with that. So hopefully I can get out to a few more games this season and enjoying that. If you take a look at the channel, I did have a break there for a while at the end of last season up till now, but I got some brand new content out. Hey, taking care of everything. A new son who was born just before opening day last year. So he's now 1 year old. So it was a little bit more challenging and learning how to make some content, have some videos around, make some videos around that. If I can get, I have all kinds of ideas. I got all kinds of research to add to it, but as long as I can get some things filmed, I can get them edited for you guys and out there. So hopefully I can do a little bit better job this year working around that as well. And he can have some fun. Maybe you'll see him in a video or two along the way. We shall see. So we're looking really forward to that and the opportunity to have and share the game of baseball with my son. It was really fun to have him involved in some of the watching of the World Series. He got to watch his first World Series in his Toronto Blue Jays jersey and hang out and watch all that. He seems to love the game, even at a young age. So hopefully you can continue to share that with him along the way. We are live opening night. If you guys are talking in baseball, make sure you are commenting and we will chat it up. Let me know who you got for awards predictions, maybe a World Series comment. Who is going to win the World Series and what you think is going to happen there. A lot of true contenders across Major League Baseball. As I was talking earlier, I said there's very, very few teams I think that do not have a chance of making the playoffs. I think your World Series contenders are certainly limited to who has the potential to actually win the World Series. But as far as playoff teams, that is certainly a much wider open debate. Outside of the National League, I said outside of the Cardinals, Rockies, and Nationals, I could see any of the other 12 teams making a run to the playoffs. In the American League, I don't see the Twins or White Sox really being playoff teams. I think you could add the Angels to that. But outside of those 3 teams, again, you've probably got 12 teams that have legit playoff hopes And that's the wonderful thing about opening day, right? Is this opportunity to have an opening day where any team has hope of making it to the playoffs. And as we know, if you can get in to the dance, then you've got a chance to win. And that's really what it comes down to, just getting into the playoffs, that 162 game grind and finding a spot in the playoffs as the Yankees go first and third with nobody out on Logan Webb. Back-to-back singles from Bellinger and Rice has set them up here. And it looks like the Yankees are in a scoring position again to potentially add to this lead. As the middle of the lineup starts to produce a little bit, that is the danger part of the Yankee lineup. And they've taken advantage of a couple of poor sinkers from Logan Webb. See if he can figure out a way out of it. I believe Logan Webb is in the 80 pitch mark, 5 runs on 8 hits now. Fried, and where's our pitch count? Fried's up to 64 pitches. Logan Webb is now 75. We've got a ball in play, and Giancarlo Stanton with an RBI single. So now 6 runs on 9 hits for the Yankees as they are really taking it to Logan Webb. I think he's probably not long for this game and will likely be into the Giant bullpen in very short order. Let me know what you guys think of this switch here at opening night. We have Giants Yankees. It's the matchup. It's a very interesting matchup. I said being on Netflix feels like a money grab for Major League Baseball. We know what those are all about. Seems to be a lot of different streaming services that are now taking advantage of Major League Baseball. So it is becoming far more costly to fans. I think that needs to be something that needs to be addressed to make the game more popular. But I digress. This is what we have. So this is what we'll have to enjoy to get our baseball fix. At this point, we're hitting around the hour-and-a-half mark here in terms of our live stream. I greatly appreciate all the support of everybody who has dropped in along the way. At this time, I am going to turn it over and let you guys enjoy the game. I'm going to get myself the game lined up. I appreciate all your guys' support. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel and 3 Up, 3 Down. Go check out some of my previous videos. Go check out my World Series prediction video, my YouTube shorts. Subscribe to the channel so you're not missing out on any content at all. I greatly appreciate any single person that stopped in here. I greatly appreciate every single person that checks out any of my videos. Maybe, just maybe this is the year we can make the push to 1,000 subscribers, but you never know. Even when we add 1 subscriber, I greatly appreciate it. As always, greatly appreciate all your guys' time. Thank you so much for following along. And until next time, take care, everyone.